Thank you for joining me on today's video. Today we're going to be going through a demonstration of the EHR portion of the software. Now with TotalMD, the EHR software is not a different software like some other program. It's available in conjunction with the practice management software for an additional fee, and at that point the EHR features will be activated when you put in an appropriate activation key and serial number. The great thing about that is you don't have to go between two programs, and it just shares a single database, so everything that you need would be right here with you. Probably the best part about the EHR software is its flexibility and customization. So although in this demo today we're going to be using a mental health template, there are many other templates available, and those can be modified and edited as much as you'd like, as well as additional templates can be created so that you can get the program to be the way you want it to be, so that it'll be the version of the software that will work best for your office. An encounter can be created from 3 different areas in the software, either from your encounter list, or from the scheduler, or from inside a patient record. I'm going to go inside a patient record here, and if you have the EHR version of the software, then there will be these extra tabs that show up in the software. The rest of these over here are included in the software already. There are some additional fills that become available inside the already existing tabs. For example, here you'll see there's a preferred contact method, and in the medical alerts tab there will be a list of their medications as well as any immunities that they might have also listed here. Those are additional areas that become available once the EHR portion of the software is activated. In addition, when you click on your encounter summary tab, you'll have a list of a bunch of different things in here, from your problem list to your previous encounters, and then the vitals as well here. On the right hand side you'll have a chart preview of whichever chart is highlighted. If you click on different charts on here, it's going to change the information of what's displayed based on whichever chart is highlighted. If you'd like to create a new encounter, you can do that from here, and we'll do that in just a second. If you want to edit an existing encounter, you can do that. Obviously, if a note has been signed off, it will not let you edit the encounter, just add addendums to the note. Another great feature is copy encounter, and this is a great feature if you're a specialty that sees a patient over and over again for the same thing, whether that's massage, chiropractic, mental health, physical therapy, whatever it happens to be. If you want most of the note to be the same and you just want to make slight changes to certain areas, you could take a previous encounter, copy it, and it'll ask you which areas of the encounter you'd like to copy, and it'll take whichever note is highlighted and copy those parts of that note. Of course, you'll still be able to change the parts you've copied over if you want to, but if most of the information is the same, you just change the few things that might be a little bit different and save you some time, as opposed to creating a note from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and create a note from scratch, and we're going to click New Encounter, and it's going to come up with a window and ask me which template I'd like to use. It's only going to show me the templates that are part of my subjective template section, since that's the first part of the note. Each area, subjective and objective, and then your assessment and your plan, each of those areas will have their own templates, and you get to choose templates for each one. So I'm going to go ahead and click Use Template, and now it opens up my new screen. This part down here with the checkboxes, which we'll get into in just a second, is the actual template. This part up here is the same. Regardless of which template you've chosen, it's going to show up here. There's some exceptions to that from the standpoint of if you're a type of clinic that maybe does not collect vitals, you can remove that from here, so that will never show, and it never asks you for that. There are also other areas in the software that can be hidden in the EHR settings area if they don't pertain to your type of specialty. Things like labs, prescriptions, and other things like that. This software is ONC certified, so some of the features in here are specifically for that. For example, this smoking status section helps meet some of the ONC certification requirements. Over here on the right hand side is going to be a preview of your note thus far. So this information in here so far, even though we haven't done anything related to the actual template yet, has pulled over with the patient information, problems from previous encounters, medications that they're on, allergies, and so on. As we go through the template, information will fill in here based on the information that we've added inside of our template. So you'll notice that there's 3 columns here that say yes, no, and not applicable. Those columns will indicate how information is displayed over here on the right hand side. If we click not applicable, it's going to show the word appearance and then NA next to it. If we click no, the same thing, it'll say appearance and no. If we don't click any of these 3 options, appearance will not display on the right hand side in the chart preview and will not be part of the note at all. If we click yes, which in most cases this is what we're going to do, a few different things could happen. Number one, it could just show the word appearance with the word yes next to it, or, which happens in most cases, you click yes, and there's options that show up over here on the right as part of the template. All of this stuff over here on the right hand side is customizable. So in this particular instance, there is a list of options that we can choose from. I'm going to click within normal limits. And as we can see here, it displayed it saying appearance, and then a patient appeared within normal limits. Now, nothing showed on the actual list of options that said patient appeared. It's just the way that I designed this specific template to put the verbiage in before the answer. As a simple example, if I wanted it to just say appearance : within normal limits, or WNL, I could do that without this text being in here. The simple change of a node inside the customization part of the software. We'll go ahead and choose another one here, behavior. You'll see a bunch more options. If I right click in here, it will allow me to add a new answer, change an answer, delete an answer. There's an area in the setup where you can go in and do a lot more customization, change orders of things and whatnot. This is just a really simple way that we could do some minimal editing directly in here on this template, where we can change some of the answers and add new ones if we need to. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and choose a couple options, and now I'm done. Depending on your specific preference, some people like short one-word answers or phrases, whereas other people like it more in essay format, more sentences and paragraph format. All of that is available, just kind of depending on your specific preference. It can also be set up with freeform areas. So for example, if I click on this description box here, it comes up with a freeform area where I can already have text defaulted in here if I want to, that I could change, modify, edit, do whatever I'd like, or I can type in or dictate in here whatever I'd like as well. After you've chosen your answers or typed in your freeform area, it'll display the information that you selected or typed in or dictated in or whatnot. You can click in here if you'd like to, and you can change it as well. So if you want to rewrite something or just make some sort of edit, you can certainly do that. Some of the questions, like this next one, have multiple layers to them, where this one is a free form, but after I type in whatever it is I want to type in here, and now when I hit next, it takes me to another question automatically. And then, for example, if I click this option here, it's going to take me to another one where I get to choose a date in this specific instance. So I'll choose that date there, hit next, and now those 3 questions were all part of that one note here. There's really so much flexibility that the program allows you as far as your templates go. The great thing is we don't have to create them for you. We give you the ability inside the software to create or edit them any way you'd like. We can certainly help you do it, but the ability for you to do it is in there as well. So now we're going to go up to the assessment tab, and we'll see there's another area here for templates. So if I wanted to do another template, I could certainly do that. So this is a long template here. I'll show it to you. You can click on this little plus sign up here if you'd like to kind of expand the section and shrink the other areas so you can see more of what is part of this template. If, for example, in the middle of this particular visit, you realize that there's more templates that you need to be part of this visit, you can continue to add more templates. So you just right click and add a template, and again choose another one, and it'll just add it to the bottom, and you can continue to do that as much as you need. It's not uncommon for somebody to schedule an appointment with a provider, only for the provider to realize once the patient is in with them that there are more issues than what the original appointment was scheduled for. And so this allows you to go back and add additional templates to be part of this particular visit. So besides templates here in the assessment area, it's also going to have your cognitive and functional status as well as your problem list. Now this area here is going to populate if there's previous problems that were reported on previous encounters that should follow the patient through his different encounters. If these become problems that are resolved or whatnot, then they'll stop following the patient across his different encounters. If we need to add another diagnosis code here for today's visit, we can certainly do that just by clicking in this area down here and choosing from our list of diagnosis codes. The list that displays here for you will be whatever is in your TotalMD program, with the most commonly used ones up at the top and then everything else down below. To get a diagnosis, down into your problem list. You can just double click on one if you want to over here. But then there's also a few other ways that they can get into the program. One way is through what's called decision support. What decision support is the ability to set up rules that the patient will run through when you open them up to start a new encounter. And if the patient meets the criteria of the specific rule that you set up, so I have this one here, we'll look at it. This one just says that if the BMI is less than 15 for this person and they're a female, then suggest this educational material as well as this diagnosis code. And so this diagnosis code, if this person met that criteria, this diagnosis code 307.1 would have showed up already in here, not as a diagnosed one, but basically as a suggested diagnosis. And then you'd have to mark it as an actual diagnosis if you wanted it to be one. But also populate that educational material, which would show up under the notes and review tab down here. Same thing can happen with procedure codes, where you can have a specific procedure code suggested as well. And then lastly, a diagnosis or procedure code or educational material can be added based on certain responses that are given in some of these answers. So when you're setting up your templates, you can set it up where it suggests a diagnosis code or procedure code or educational material based on different answers that you might be choosing inside here. The plan tab is similar to the assessment and subjective and objective in that it allows you to come in here and again add additional templates. One of the great things about the program too is that when you're in your notes and reviews tab, and if you do put in a specific procedure code, we'll say, let's say we just did an office visit, because this is all one program, the billing and the EHR, when we're done with this note, that information will flow into the billing software automatically. It puts all the procedure codes with their associated diagnosis codes into kind of like a holding tank area, so that the biller can go in there, see everything that was done, and essentially approve the information for it to flow over into each individual's ledger. In the Orders tab here, you're going to have several different tabs that will allow you to choose different lab work or referrals and whatnot, and you can associate them to specific diagnosis codes if you choose as well. Then at any time, somebody can go into the orders list and see all the different orders that have been done and filter them down to see ones that maybe pertain specifically to an individual in the office or a patient or whatever else it may be. The Other Encounters tab is just a quick and easy way to access past encounters. So if you wanted to look at something that happened sometime previously, you can very easily come in here and pull it up to reference back in there. And then additional coding is your SNOMED coding for stuff related to meaningful use. If from here you'd like to write a prescription from somebody, you just click here and it'll pull up the patient in the prescription writing program. It keeps track of all the pharmacies you've used for a specific patient. It has a favorites list that you get to create yourself. It has a specific provider favorites list and a practice favorites list. So you can see all of that to easily access favorite prescriptions, or of course write prescriptions maybe you've never written before. In addition, you can even write scripts for controlled substances if you get that set up. So you can do all the way from Schedule 1 to Schedule 5 drugs inside the software. And as I mentioned before, this information will then go back into the patient screen so you can see that as well as it'll populate it as part of the actual note. The software also has a patient portal which will allow you to communicate securely with your patients, to give them a copy of their treatment plan if you'd like, or their clinical summary. You can also communicate securely with other providers, which is part of meaningful use, but more importantly, it's just part of good office security. There are a lot of other really great things about the TotalMD EHR, but today I just wanted to go through a demo and show you kind of the flow of the software. If you're interested in seeing a demo that's more specific to what you do, we'd love to help you out. Oftentimes, we can even take an existing template that you have, create it in our software so that you can see how what you do now would work inside the TotalMD software.